When I went to seminary, my faith was one that was, at that point, analytical. It was very much one of the head. And part of that is because of my Lutheran Norwegian background, right? We're suspicious of emotion. So any emotion, even when in faith, is something to be nervous about. And I had a moment in my second year of seminary in which I was sitting with a friend who was a Danish theology PhD student. And I remember talking with him about the gospel and saying that I knew that God loved me, but that I felt like there was something that I still needed to do, right? That it was like a holding out of God's hand, but that I still wasn't measuring up. And I remember saying that, and his face looking at me with just absolute incredulity and saying, "What are you talking about? God loves you completely. You're completely affirmed. God loves everyone completely. There's no thing you have to do." And I had known that as a Lutheran, right? We're saved by grace and not our works. But it was still always in the back of my mind. Well, he does, but you still need to do this thing. And hearing him say it felt like I heard it for the first time. And I had this joyous feeling, I think, just run through my body. And I remember it being the first moment which I really understood it. Not with my head, but with my heart, and feeling that God loved me, particularly me, and everyone else, full stop, that there wasn't anything I had to do. And after that moment, there was a period of about 2 months where I just felt complete joy. I remember walking through campus and just looking at the leaves and feeling as if they'd been placed there for me at some moment to spark joy, right? So I was almost on this spiritual high. At the time, I was working in Trenton, New Jersey, and I was working for a church that was really run down. I remember during this period driving into Trenton. It's about a 20-minute drive, and it's completely different. You know, you're driving from this beautiful place, and you're going into Trenton on Route 1, and you're driving into just this very run-down, beat-up city. And I remember feeling for the first time a lack of fear in a way that was palpable, that I didn't even know I was afraid before or couldn't locate it before. And it was particularly while I was walking down the street, seeing Black people and seeing them without fear, and recognizing in that moment, one, that I was afraid or had been before, so being confronted with my own racism, but then seeing them in a very different way out of this experience, seeing if I was loved completely and totally unto death, then they were too. And I had known that intellectually. And I grew up in a good, liberal Minnesotan household in which we said, oh, we don't see race. But I was afraid when I was there. I did see people. I did see Black people, and I was afraid. I felt it. But that moment walking down the street, that first moment walking back and seeing them and not being afraid, but seeing them as people loved by God, seeing them as brothers and sisters, I felt complete joy. And I felt brotherhood and sisterhood in that moment. And I felt that racism in that moment that I'd been holding in my heart. And I felt it vanish in that moment. Not that that I don't struggle with these things, but that I felt for the first time what it actually meant to look at someone and see them as a person loved by God. And Trenton became a thin place for me because it meant my eyes were opened. I felt judgment, but I also felt grace for the first time. And so it was a powerfully thin place for me.